I want commentary. I want a personality. I want to interact with the person. Before we get started, I just want to say please subscribe to the channel. It's free and you can always change your mind in the future. Alright, let's get into it. When you're just starting out as a streamer, there are a few things that you have to keep in mind. So here are a few of my personal tips that I think will help you grow as a streamer. Tip number 1, fill the silence. I can't express how irritating it can be to come into a stream and watch the streamer just staring at their screen, not talking, there's no music, and they're just not engaging with anybody. Now, I understand that there's nobody in the chat to engage with, but there's really no excuse for it. When most people come to check out your stream, they're really only going to hang out for about 30 to 60 seconds. After that, if they decided they don't want to be there or they're not enjoying it, they're just going to leave. Now, would you rather be watching somebody silently playing their game? Or would you rather be listening to amazing music and commentary while they're playing that game?
Polish your musket.
I'm going to polish my musket.
What does that mean?
As a streamer, there's a few ways that you can keep your content intriguing without necessarily talking the entire time. Music. With Twitch's big DMCA issues lately, music's kind of been a touchy subject for streamers and content creators. But in actuality, it's really no excuse. It's very easy to find free and paid DMCA proof or copyright free music on the internet. It's quick, it's easy, and I'll put a link to my favorite down below. Commentary. You don't need to go overboard with talking, but talking about what you're doing and why you're doing it in the game adds all the difference to your stream. It helps fill the voids between conversations with chat and conversations with whoever's in your stream. Number 2, and this one's kind of tough, games not to play. Now, I'm not going to list any specific games because that's not fair to those games, and it kind of changes over time. But I am going to list 2 categories and describe them for you. Big games. Games like Call of Duty when they first came out are great games and they're fun to play. But if you want to grow as a streamer, those games are just too saturated with really big streamers to even start to engage with. You're not going to draw in crowds with games that are oversaturated. So try and stay away from big games. On the flip side, you don't want to be playing obscure games either. Games that no one has heard of only attract a niche market. Niche markets are good, don't get me wrong, but not if there's only 100 people watching the game. There's just no one to draw in at that point. You need to find a game that's in the middle of big games and obscure games. Something that's not oversaturated with streamers. Tip number 3, and people will argue this with me, and those people are dumb. Buy a camera. Just buy a camera. You may think, there's big streamers that don't use face cams. I don't need one. Why would I need one? Well, you're not Lyric. You're not Dakotas. They're the exceptions, not the rule. You need a camera to engage with your community. No one wants to watch a game. I'll just go on YouTube to watch gameplay. I want commentary. I want a personality. I want to interact with the person. And it's a lot easier to do if you can look them in the eye. That being said, don't go overboard at first. You really don't need a $2,000 camera to be a good streamer. You can buy a cheap $50 camera off Amazon like the one we're on right now. Tip number 4, get a personal overlay. This kind of ties into brand design, and brand design is a topic I'm going to talk about in the future in a lot more detail. Getting a personalized image sets you apart from other streamers. Again, you don't need to go overboard with this. If it's too complex, it becomes a distraction. The simpler your designs and overlay, the better. Last but not least, tip number 5, collaborate with other streamers and creators. The easiest way to grow is to collaborate your content and ideas with other content creators. Have them on stream, create videos together. If they have a podcast, be on the podcast. If you have a podcast, have those creators on. The more you can interact and cross-promote your content with other streamers, the more it gets put in front of new and fresh eyes that might come watch your stuff now. So just to recap, build a silence, find the right size game, buy yourself a camera, personalize your brand, and collaborate with other creators. If you do these 5 things, you're well on your way to being a successful streamer.